Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to today's exciting deep dive where we explore one of the most fascinating treasures in the world of coin collecting, a story that combines history, rarity, minting technology, errors, and the surprising value that can turn an ordinary-looking 1-cent piece into a fortune worth millions. And today we are focusing on the 1994 1-cent coin. A coin that on the surface seems like just another ordinary Lincoln cent produced in the billions, but behind the ordinary appearance lies a world of extraordinary mistakes and minting anomalies that elevate this humble coin to the staggering worth of $3 million, a value so astonishing that it has captured the imagination of collectors, dealers, and historians alike. And in this journey we will explore every possibility, every error type, every microscopic detail that could have contributed to this incredible value, because when a coin from 1994 carries such a price tag, it is not because of ordinary condition or mere age, but because of unique minting errors, unusual conditions of production, and combinations of anomalies that make it one of a kind. And so let's set the stage by first remembering that the Lincoln cent design in 1994 still featured the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate his 100th birthday. And on the reverse we still had the Lincoln Memorial, a design that began in 1959 and lasted until 2008. So the 1994 coin at first seems to be just part of this long series, but what makes one coin stand out is not the design itself but the circumstances of how it was struck at the mint, where billions of coins are produced each year under intense pressure, high-speed presses, and with the constant risk of mistakes that, while small, become monumental when identified by numismatists. So now imagine a coin struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps not even a copper-plated zinc planchet of the standard cent but on a foreign denomination blank or on a leftover blank from another coin, maybe a dime or even a planchet intended for a foreign contract coin, because in 1994 the US Mint was still striking coins for other countries, and such an error could lead to weight anomalies, unusual coloration, and misstrikes that collectors would pay handsomely for. But even beyond off-metal strikes there are double dies to consider, because the 1990s were notorious for some fascinating double die errors, especially in the 1995 double die obverse, which became world famous. So if a 1994 cent shows dramatic doubling on "In God We Trust," on "Liberty," or on the date itself, that kind of error would turn a simple coin into a rarity, especially if the doubling is strong and visible without magnification. But that is just one layer of possibilities, because there are also broad strikes, where the coin is struck without a collar and spreads out larger than normal, or off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing but enough remains to show details of the date and mint mark, making it highly desirable, or die caps where a coin sticks to the die and then strikes subsequent coins producing wild, distorted images, or struck through errors where foreign material like grease, cloth, wire, or even another coin interferes with the strike, leaving behind dramatic and unique impressions. And then there are multiple strike errors where a coin is struck more than once, creating overlapping images that are spectacular to collectors. And of course let's not forget wrong planchet errors where a cent is struck on dime stock, appearing thinner, lighter, and silver in color, which are some of the most breathtaking error coins ever found. And if any of these anomalies are present in a 1994 1-cent piece, then its rarity skyrockets. But what makes this particular coin valued at $3 million is not just a single error but a combination of factors, because in numismatics value comes not only from rarity but also from condition, demand, and story. So imagine a 1994 cent that not only was struck on the wrong planchet but also shows a bold double die, perhaps an off-center strike, and is preserved in flawless mint state condition, graded MS-70 by a leading grading service. And when you combine all of these anomalies, you reach the pinnacle of rarity, something so unlikely that it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find. And collectors, driven by both passion and competition, would push the price higher and higher in auction until it reaches that magical $3 million mark. But beyond the technical aspects there is also the cultural and emotional story of why this coin resonates, because Lincoln cents are among the most beloved and collected coins in America, with generations of families filling penny boards, children searching through pocket change, and serious collectors building complete sets. And within this vast landscape of collecting, error coins shine like jewels, representing the unpredictable human and mechanical side of minting. and owning a coin like the 1994 error cent is not just about possession but about holding a piece of minting history that should never have existed, and that is what drives the astronomical value. But let us dive deeper into each possible error to imagine how they might apply, starting with doubled dies, where a slight misalignment in the hubbing process creates doubled images of letters and numbers, and in the 1994 cent if such doubling were prominent, it would rival the fame of the 1955 and 1995 doubled dies, both of which are iconic. And then there are repunched mint marks, which in earlier decades were hand-punched and could result in dramatic doubled mint mark varieties, and while by 1994 the process was changing, transitional errors are still possible. And if such a repunched mint mark existed on a high-grade coin with other errors, it would be another rarity. Then imagine a coin struck on a copper planchet from pre-1982 instead of the intended zinc, creating a weight of 3.11 grams instead of 2.5, and this would make it immediately identifiable by collectors with a simple scale, and the rarity of finding a leftover copper blank from over a decade earlier adds mystery and intrigue. And then consider strike-through errors where grease-filled dies remove parts of the design, making letters or numbers disappear, such as a missing L in Liberty or even a missing digit in the date, which collectors find fascinating. And if this coin displayed a missing digit in the date along with other anomalies, it would again add to the mystique. And then there are mule errors, among the rarest of all, where two mismatched dies are paired together, such as a Lincoln cent obverse struck with a dime reverse, and while exceedingly rare, the mere possibility of a 1994 mule cent makes collectors dream. And if one were found and confirmed it would be priceless, but even without a mule the possibilities of broad strikes, off-center strikes, double strikes, or even experimental planchets remain, and each of these adds layers of uniqueness. And then when you consider condition, because condition is king in coin collecting, a coin with all these spectacular errors but worn down from circulation would not reach astronomical prices, but one preserved in pristine condition, perhaps from a mint set or discovered immediately after striking and saved, could retain its brilliance, luster, and sharp details. And when certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, a grade of MS-70 would cement its status as one of the finest known, and rarity combined with perfection creates the perfect storm of value. But beyond technical analysis there is also the story that inspires collectors, because people love tales of discovery, like finding a coin in pocket change or in an old jar that turns out to be worth millions, and the 1994 cent valued at $3 million represents exactly that dream, the dream that hidden treasures still exist in the most ordinary places, that a simple penny could be a life-changing discovery, and that is why videos, articles, and auctions about such coins capture so much attention. But to sustain this idea we must also think about the psychology of collectors, who see in error coins the tangible proof that perfection is not always achieved, that even in the highly controlled environment of the US Mint, mistakes slip through, and these mistakes are celebrated rather than discarded, and they embody the uniqueness that collectors crave, because no two errors are ever exactly alike, and each error coin is like a fingerprint, one of a kind, never to be repeated. And so in the 1994 cent with errors, what we are really seeing is the triumph of uniqueness over uniformity, the celebration of imperfection, and the transformation of a 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And this journey of possibilities could go even further. When we think about transitional errors, because the early 1990s were a period of changes in minting technology, die preparation, and quality control, and sometimes coins slipped through with anomalies like different font styles in the date or variations.